1921. That's right, 1,921 clues have come and gone, but 26 new ones are headed your way as part of this 72nd episode of Disney 100 Jeopardy presented by MagicBandReaders.com. As always, I am your host, Bryan Perri, and thank you so much for joining me. Here come the rules on your screen. They're the same rules as always, which of course means I could not care less if you cheat. You want to pause the video? Go right ahead. I won't know you're doing so, so be my guest. In last week's episode 71, the final Jeopardy category, in honor of it being episode 71, was 1971. That was a big year for the Walt Disney Company. You'll have 5 clues headed your way all about that fateful year. And if that's not your thing, that's all right. I've got 4 other categories I'm about to quiz you on. So without further delay, let's check them out. Once again, 1971 carries over from last week and will be the first category you're quizzed on. The second category is box office bonanzas. I have done box office bombs in the past, which is all about Disney films that bombed and did very poorly at the box office. This is the opposite. This is a category all about movies from the Walt Disney Company and Pixar that have been smashing successes at the movie theater. The third category you'll be playing, Encanto. I apologize for taking this long to do an Encanto category. Honestly, I don't know how I managed to go this long without actually doing one, but that's right, the big 2021 film will be the focus of one of the 5 categories today in episode 72. On to the Disney Parks category of the week now. It is Test Track, RIP. Test Track 2.0, which closed this past week. It was the second iteration of the famous Test Track ride at Epcot. A third version of the attraction will open in 2025, but this category is all about the last 2 versions of the Epcot staple. And the final category you'll be playing, Disney, referencing Disney. You might remember a few weeks ago I did a making fun of Disney category. That was all about shows and movies who have parodied the Walt Disney Company, things like Family Guy and South Park. This is all about Disney making fun of themselves. Shout out to Annie who came up with the suggestion in the comment section. I will describe or show you a scene that leads to an inside joke of sorts that Disney makes. Maybe it's a line referencing another movie, something like that. And you'll have to answer the clue that I am presenting you in that very moment. Yeah, that's how Jeopardy works, Brian. You gotta answer the clue. Anyway, whatever. I'm rambling. Here comes the easiest round of the game. It is the cupcake round. Each of these clues are worth just 200 points each. It does not get easier than this in terms of this episode. So hopefully you go 5 for 5 and bank 1,000 points under your belt. We kick things off with that fateful year. It's 1971 for 200. On June 17th, 1971, this place welcomed its 100 millionth guest. The correct answer is Disneyland. On to box office bonanzas for the first time. Incredibles 2 holds the record for an animated movie's biggest opening weekend at the domestic box office, pulling in over $182 million. This 2024 film now comes in second with over $154 million on its opening weekend. The correct answer is Inside Out 2.
We gotta get our mouth guard, people!
Fear! No, that's not ours! Disgust. Glad to have her on our team.
That's right, I think a lot of people thought Inside Out 2 was going to be a good movie. I don't know if anyone expected it to be this successful, and after having seen it, it deserves every penny. It's so good. Love Inside Out 2. I think it's actually better than the original. On to Encanto we go. This one's worth 200. Despite being the focus of one of Disney's most successful songs of all time, we don't talk about this character. Who is Bruno? We make our way over to Test Track for 200. The number of riders who fit in one Test Track car. The correct answer is 6, and because of that, this always made Test Track one of the best single rider attractions at Walt Disney World because a lot of people are going with an even number in their party, and there's always an extra seat. It's just 2 rows of 3 and 3. I always thought that was kind of weird. Why wouldn't they go 4 across or 2 across with 3 rows? I don't know. They went 2 rows, 3 across, 6 total in the car. Single rider's dream, I guess you could say. Anyway, on to Disney referencing Disney for 200. During this scene in Zootopia, Chief Bogo quotes this Disney song while speaking to Judy Hopps. What is Let It Go?
Life isn't some cartoon musical where you sing a little song and your insipid dreams magically come true. So let it go.
And that does it for the cupcake round. We move on to the slightly more difficult 400-point round now. It begins with 1971. Now making stops at Main Street, USA, Frontierland, and Storybook Circus, the Walt Disney World Railroad opened in 1971 with this location as its only stop. No, it is not a trick question. The correct answer is Main Street, USA. It wasn't until a year later when Frontierland got its own train station, and it wasn't the train station you know now because Splash didn't exist yet and Big Thunder didn't exist yet. It was closer to Pecos Bill. And then, I don't remember, it was like 20 years after that, I think, when Mickey's Birthday Land opened, which is now Storybook Circus, used to be Toontown, all that stuff. But yeah, when the Walt Disney World Railroad opened, only had one stop, and it was Main Street. We move on to the second clue of the 400-point round. It belongs to the box office bonanza category. This 2019 film holds the record for the biggest opening weekend in Disney feature animation history with a total of $130 million. Disney feature animation's most successful movie when it comes to opening weekend was Frozen 2. On to Encanto now for the second time. The names of Julietta's 3 daughters. You've got Mirabelle, who is the main character of Encanto, and her 2 sisters, Isabella and Luisa. Hop aboard Test Track for a 400-point clue. Ending in 0.9, this was the maximum speed most often shown on the ride's speedometer outside. What is 64.9? Let's finish off the 400-point round with Disney referencing Disney. In this scene in The Lion King, Scar tells Zazu to sing any song, but this one. The Lion King is making fun of It's a Small World.
It's a small world after all.
No, anything but that.
10 clues down as we make our way to the third round of the game. It's your third clue from 1971. This man gave a ceremonial dedication speech for Walt Disney World on October 25th, 1971. Correct answer is Walt's brother, Roy O. Disney.
Walt Disney World is a tribute to the philosophy and the life of Walter Elias Disney.
Sadly, Roy passed away just a few months later in December of 71. You might notice in the clue I said October 25th. That was over 3 weeks after Walt Disney World opened. It opened on October 1st, and Disney considered it a preview month because they didn't want to deal with the crazy crowds that swarmed Disneyland on opening day in 1955. They kind of eased their opening. They did expect more people to show up than actually did show up. I think it was only about 10,000 people showing up. Can you imagine Magic Kingdom, 10,000 people today? And that was opening day? That's crazy. But Roy Disney's speech, unlike Walt's, didn't occur on that opening day. No, it occurred on October 25th. On to box office bonanzas now for 6. 2016 proved to be one of Disney feature animation's biggest years at the box office, as these two films each pulled in more than $55 million during their opening weekends. The correct answer is Zootopia and Moana. On to Encanto for 600. Julieta gives her daughter Mirabel this type of food to heal her injury. What is an arepa?
You are perfect. Just like this. You're just as special as anyone else in this family.
You just healed my hand with an arepa con queso.
On to Test Track we go for the third time. The attraction at California Adventure that uses the same ride system. What is Radiator Springs Racers? Final clue of the third round belongs to Disney referencing Disney. Disney showcased this character to create a Disney Plus series where he gives humorous 2-minute recaps of 5 different Disney films. Who is Olaf? And that, of course, is part of Olaf Presents. It's only 5 episodes. They're only 2 minutes long, so I wish that Disney would have done a few more of them. You obviously have such a great library of films to choose from, but they went with The Little Mermaid. They went with Moana, The Lion King. What else did they do? Tangled, and Aladdin. That's right. So 5 great movies, but you've got so many more to choose from. So let's get a season 2 of Olaf Presents. That does it for the third round. We're more than halfway through the game as we enter the second hardest round. It is the 800 pointers, and it starts with 1971. Angela Lansbury won a Golden Globe for her role in this 1971 musical film. What is Bedknobs and Broomsticks?
I do hate shoddy work.
Another box office bonanza is headed your way. The weekend before the beginning of the pandemic, and when I say that, I mean the weekend before everything really started getting shut down throughout the entire country. So this was the beginning of March, I'll say that. The weekend before the beginning of the pandemic, Onward drew just $39 million during its opening weekend. Yikes. Making it the worst opening weekend for Pixar this century. It broke a record from this century held by this film. The correct answer is The Good Dinosaur.
Oh, shoot! That's my favorite too!
I'm gonna love ending you.
That's right, The Good Dinosaur was Pixar's worst opening weekend of this century. Technically, Toy Story had a worst opening weekend, but that was 1995. This century, since 2000, no Pixar movie did worse than 39 million. And sure enough, Onward did do 39 million, but a few thousand less than The Good Dinosaur. Nowadays, with the Disney Plus releases, it's harder to judge, which makes Inside Out 2's numbers even crazier because a lot of people don't think folks are going to the movies anymore, and Inside Out 2 just almost set the record for Pixar. But either way, Onward, the worst opening weekend pre-pandemic since Good Dinosaur this century. On to Encanto now. First engaged to Isabella, this is the name of the man who ends up in a relationship with Dolores. His name is Mariano. What a guy, Mariano. Okay, here comes Test Track now, for the 4th time. The attraction that stood in Test Track's location before it was constructed. What is World of Motion? Let's finish off the 800-point round now, with Disney referencing Disney for the 4th time. This hilarious scene from Ralph Breaks the Internet culminates with Ralph waking up following a kiss from one of these. So a lot of people, including myself, think it was Prince Naveen who kissed Ralph right here. Look at that smile. I only know one frog who can smile like that, but he never said any words. So technically, I guess it could be any frog. Therefore, I made the answer here just a frog. And that right there was the 20th clue of the game, which was presented by MagicBandReaders. Only a few days remain to use our promo code ITM20 for 20% off your very own wait time sign at MagicBandReaders.com/wait. You can get a wait time sign for your favorite Disney park and let the live wait time scroll by on your desk, mantle, or fireplace. It's the perfect addition to any Disney Fanatics collection. Grab yourself an Epcot one to check out the wait times for hits like Living with the Land, Soarin', Mission Space, or even be the first to see how grotesque the wait time will be when Test Track 3 opens in 2025. MagicBandReaders.com/wait is the place for 20% off your very own wait time sign. Once again, using the promo code ITM20. And as aforementioned, 20 clues are down and 6 remain, including Final Jeopardy. But before we get there, you know what time it is. It is time for the most overly dramatic soundtrack-infused, unnecessarily spotlighted part of the game. The 1,000-point round. Hit it. All right, stretch it out. Focus. Horse blinders on. No distractions. 5 hardest clues of the game. Start now. 1971 is first. Opening on October 2nd, 1971. This was the first Magic Kingdom attraction to open after opening day. Beating Peter Pan's Flight by 1 day, Peter Pan's Flight opened on October 3rd, 1971. The correct answer here is the river boat. If you said Admiral Joe Fowler riverboat, good for you. You're way too knowledgeable for this game. But yes, it was the steamboat that travels around Frontierland and Liberty Square. Eventually, Disney added a second boat and went to service the Joe Fowler and dropped it. Broke it. So now you have the Liberty Bell circling the area, but that is the correct answer, the steamboat or the riverboat. Here comes your second 1,000-point clue of the game. Pixar's 5 biggest opening weekends all come from films that were already part of an established franchise. Name Pixar's 5 biggest opening weekends. Give you an extra 5 seconds since it's a little tougher. All right, time's up. The correct answer is Incredibles 2. It's number 1, 2018. Coming in second place, Inside Out 2, obviously part of the Inside Out franchise. Third, Finding Dory. That, of course, attached to Finding Nemo. And then in fourth and fifth, Toy Story 4 and Toy Story 3. And that's why, guys, I know a lot of you are going to disagree with me here. I don't blame Disney for wanting to just hammer out more sequels and prequels and movies that already have characters that you know and love. Is it as original? No, it's not. But the 5 biggest opening weekends in your company's history are all sequels or prequels. And you look at Disney feature animation, and in first place is Frozen 2. Like, I get it. I understand why they're going with the easier route, and I don't really blame them. Then again, they put out Lightyear, and that, I think, made like $6 at the box office. So anyway, let's move on to Encanto for the final time today. Encanto's Academy Award nominee for Best Original Song. Surprisingly, no, it was not. We don't talk about Bruno. The correct answer is Dos Oruguitas.
Dos oruguitas enamoradas.
Here comes your final clue from Test Track. It's worth 1,000. Test Track 1.0's sponsor and Test Track 2.0's sponsor. The original crash test dummy version of Test Track was sponsored by GM, General Motors. When Test Track 2.0 came out, instead of General Motors, they picked one of their subsidiaries to be the sponsor. That is Chevrolet. And here comes your final clue on the board before Final Jeopardy. It belongs to Disney, referencing Disney. In this scene from Toy Story 2, Pixar parodies the famous "No, I am your father" scene in Star Wars. Soon after the exchange, this character ends up defeating Vader/Zurg by knocking him down the elevator shaft. Who is Rex?
I did it. I finally defeated Zurg!
Father.
There you have it, 25 clues down, 1 remains, and it is Final Jeopardy. Now, I'll tell you now, this category in Final Jeopardy, I hinted at maybe you should have seen the film in the last 2 weeks. I mentioned it 2 weeks ago. I kind of briefly mentioned it last week. If you haven't seen the film, it's not impossible to know the correct answer, but it will be difficult. So with that, let's check out what the Final Jeopardy category is. Inside Out 2. If you haven't seen the movie yet, you can pause this video. You don't have to continue. You could go see the movie right now on this Friday or Saturday or whenever you're watching this video. Go watch it, come back, and see if you get the answer right. If not, you can just keep playing the game, get the answer wrong, and ruin your high score. And you also have the option to just watch the movie next week, because you know that Inside Out 2 is returning for episode 73, 5 clues about the brand new smashing success of a film. So with that, make your wagers on your knowledge of Pixar's newest hit. Okay, time is up. Here comes Final Jeopardy, all about Inside Out 2. Inside Out 2 introduces us to 5 new emotions inside Riley's brain. Name the other 4 besides anxiety. Good luck. And time is up. So there were 4 new emotions in the film that were showcased pretty heavily, but there was a 5th emotion that made 2, I think it was 2 or 3 brief appearances in the movie. The correct answer to join anxiety were envy, embarrassment, ennui, and nostalgia.
Remember when we all finally came up to headquarters?
Nostalgia.
That was like 30 seconds ago, nostalgia.
Yeah, those were the days.
Nostalgia is just one tiny part of what I consider to be one of Pixar's best movies ever. Not to mention, there's a ton of hockey in it, so extra points for that. But that's going to do it for this episode 72 of Disney 100 Jeopardy, presented by MagicBandReaders.com. Head over to MagicBandReaders.com and take advantage of our promo code ITM20 for 20% off your very own wait time sign. And you know the deal. If you like what you saw in this video, do me a favor, subscribe and click that bell icon. Hello, bell. This way, you're notified every time we come out with brand new content. I've been your host, Bryan Perri. I will see you in a week for episode 73, featuring the category of Inside Out 2.
Bye-bye.